Hey everyone, it's Daemori MC, the Bold MC, and welcome back to my pop-up bar. Grab some soju, grab some snacks, grab a seat. It's time to share some stories. Hey guys, welcome and thank you. So here it is. The very first episode of my podcast of Daemori's Pop-Up Bar. I'll try and keep it short and simple. Not really too sure how much to say anyway. But as I mentioned in the trailer, I'll be doing a short introduction of myself, as well as the whys. Why I started this podcast, why the name, and I suppose what I have planned going forward and what I'd like to get out of this podcast. So, introductions. Now, as you know, this podcast is called Daemori MC's Pop-Up Bar. Well, I left out the MC part for the name, so it's Daemori's Pop-Up Bar. Now, Daemori MC, it means the bold MC in Korean. I suppose I should start by saying I'm half Australian, half Indonesian. I speak English and Indonesian fluently, and I'm currently learning how to speak Korean. So, that partly explains the name. I currently live in Perth, Western Australia, and I've been living here since 2001, so that's 19 years now. That's quite some time. Obviously, I have been to Indonesia. I was born there, and I've traveled to a few other countries, mainly in the Asian and Southeast Asian region. Now, as I continue making episodes for this podcast, I'm sure I will be sharing more about me. So I'll keep it there for now. So moving on to the whys of the podcast. Honestly, it kind of started, the idea of creating content started, I think, towards the start of this year. 2020. I was considering leaving my previous job, which I have now, but unfortunately timing wasn't the best, and as we all know, this year we've been hit by a rather nasty virus that went global. So because of that, most, if not all of us, have had to experience being stuck at home and trying to be productive where we can. Now, originally, I wanted to create content for YouTube. I've got some basic equipment to start it, but I found out that despite me being an MC for various events in the past, I actually am quite camera shy. Or at least I don't have the confidence, or I haven't found the confidence to plaster my face all over a video. So then a good friend of mine said, well, why don't you try podcasting? So this is what I'm doing. I'm giving it a shot. And that's the start. Simple, right? Of course, I'm always open to questions, so if people want to learn more or know more, feel free, drop me a message, and I'll be happy to answer. I can always use that for later content, later episodes. So now, why the name? Well, I'll start with, I did mention a bit about Daemori earlier, didn't I? MC, well, because that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to become an MC or a host for various events, and I have been in the past. I've been involved with the Indonesian community here in Perth, and I've been grateful and honored and given the privilege of emceeing quite a few of the events. Quite a few years ago now, anyway. And then recently, I redeveloped a passion for Korean culture. Yes, including K-pop, but I've always enjoyed my Korean variety shows, as well as the odd drama or two. So I'm sure those topics will come up in coming episodes. Which leads me to the name of this podcast, Daemori's Pop-Up Bar. Now, I'll be completely honest, this is purely because I have been watching a Korean drama that's available on a very, very well-known streaming service with a red letter N for its logo. And the name of the drama in English is called Mystic Pop-Up Bar. Now, I won't spoil too much, but I'm enjoying this series, and there's only 2 episodes left as I make this podcast. And I'll be a bit sad to see it leave, but if any of you are interested in slightly supernatural themes mixed with comedy, slice of life, and life lessons, all packaged in a drama, of course, I would highly recommend it. So, yeah, that is where I got the idea to call this podcast Daemori's Pop-Up Bar. Because in that series, they have customers who come and share their stories, share their worries, and every episode ends up about a group of people helping solve, maybe, or fix problems, wrapped nicely in a bit of life lesson. Now, obviously, I don't really feel like giving anyone life lessons. I mean, I'm only 32. That's not old enough, I think, to give life lessons, unless some of my listeners happen to be a lot younger than that. But at the very least, a pop-up bar sounds like that type of place where you go with your friends, enjoy a few drinks, food, and just chat about anything and everything. So that's why I thought, alright, let's go with that for the name of this podcast. So, that, I think, pretty much covers it for the whys. And now, what I'm hoping to get out of this podcast project, I suppose, or what's happening next, what's my plan for the podcast. I'm hoping to talk about topics that interest me. I'll definitely be doing episodes about various aspects of Korean culture. I'll be talking about dramas for sure, variety shows, and sure, K-pop as well, because that's what's huge right now, at least in terms of the Korean wave and those interested there. But I'm open to talking about anything really, and sharing my stories. Who knows, sharing other stories would be awesome as well. And at least from there, we can just enjoy a chat and learn maybe from each other, or help each other out, if that's what people wish to do. So I think, at least for the next few episodes, I may pick some variety shows, or dramas, or K-pop songs or groups to talk about, and I'll take it from there. Now, as I mentioned, I do speak English, Indonesian, and I am learning Korean. So part of this podcast is to expand, to develop my skills of content creation, to get the confidence maybe to finally put my face in front of a camera for video, but also as a tool to practice or use my languages, all three of them. English and Indonesian will be the most fluent, and I'll probably make note if an episode is going to be mainly Indonesian or mainly English. But I'm also hoping that I can put in some Korean. And obviously I'm still learning, so I know I'll get it wrong. But hey, what's better than learning together? So I think I'll leave it there for now as a first episode. And I hope it's given you guys an insight into what I plan to do, what I'd want to do. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. Feel free, as I mentioned, to drop me a message. There should be links either to my Instagram or my Facebook, or if you're listening to this on Anchor, obviously you can probably leave me a message there. Yes, Anchor, of course. Anchor is what I'm using to make this podcast. It's an app from Spotify, and again, same friend that suggested I try podcasting suggested the app to me. So yes, so far it's going great. Nice and simple and easy to use. And so thanks, guys from Anchor. And yeah, drop me a message or send me your questions or anything that you think you might want me to talk about. Feel free. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's a bit short, a bit long, might be a bit boring, but I'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Daemori's Pop-Up Bar. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please drop me a follow on whatever platform you're listening to me on. And you can find me on Instagram, DaemoriMC, and Facebook as well. So feel free to find me and add me there. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.